There are plenty of games out there that are loved by some and hated by others. No Man's Sky, Elder Scrolls Online, and Cyberpunk 2077 are all examples of games that have their fair share of fans and haters. These games also suffered from rough launches, but over time they received consistent updates and became better. But what about when the opposite happens? The games that I mentioned before pale in comparison to the love-hate relationship that a certain game has. No Man's Sky, Elder Scrolls Online, and Cyberpunk 2077 also have dev teams that actively patch the game to make it playable. But this certain game I'm referring to seems to have a dev team that could give less of a damn. By the thumbnail, you've probably figured out that I'm talking about none other than Dead by Daylight.
Found it. The Shrine of Secrets literally says less than an hour.
No game out there has quite the stranglehold on the multiplayer horror subgenre as Dead by Daylight, which is strange because Dead by Daylight is conceptually a pretty simple game. All that Dead by Daylight, or DBD, is a glorified game of tag. Your objective as a survivor is to finish 5 generators around the map, and while doing so the killer will try to stop you. The survivors therefore have to juggle the attention of the killer and distract them while the other survivors do the generators. The game's concept is very simple, but it's proven to be extremely effective, as a game of tag where you get to play your favorite horror characters just sounds so fun. Yet DBD has plenty of areas of improvement that fans are quick to call out. As players of this game, we know that DBD has its fair share of flaws, yet most of us keep coming back to it because the inconveniences can be overshadowed by the highs this game has, or maybe we're all just addicted. Either way, in this video I'm going to talk about Dead by Daylight and the numerous issues it has that divides the fanbase. Let's talk about the most controversial horror game ever. Just before we get into it, I want to clarify 2 quick things. Firstly, when I say controversial, I don't mean scandalous. If we're talking about the most scandalous horror game, then that title would easily go to Manhunt. When I say controversial, what I mean is a game that is loved and simultaneously hated by its fans. Secondly, I don't want you guys to think that I hate this game, or that even the vast majority of fans hate this game. We all have a soft spot for this game, but I think I speak for all of us when I say that DBD has numerous problems, and it's been frustrating to see the same issues stick around for years without being properly addressed. So what exactly are these issues? Let's start with something extremely annoying, but that could be easily fixed by behavior if they actually gave a shit. What I'm talking about, you guessed it, is bloodwebs. The issue with bloodwebs is that they take way too long to level, like an astronomically long amount of time. The game also keeps giving its players loads of blood points, and these points cap out, meaning that you should spend your blood points as soon as you can so you don't hit the cap. But since the cap is relatively low, this means that more time is spent on grinding out the bloodwebs to spend those points so you don't hit the cap. There's no fast way to do bloodwebs, and you have to click on each individual element, which can result in more time being spent on leveling up bloodwebs rather than actually playing the game. There was actually a post on the DBD subreddit where a guy lost all of his prestige cosmetics due to a glitch that happened after a new patch, and what do you think behavior did? Behavior responded by giving him 27.5 million blood points so that he can hand level his account again to get the prestiges he lost due to Behavior's glitch, and they gave him 100,000 blood points for the inconvenience. To put that into perspective, let me just give you a really quick hypothetical. Let's just say I was a bank, and I accidentally took money from your account, precisely $27.50. You come to me and you're like, what the hell, dude? You took my money, and I'm like, oh shit, you're right, my bad. But then I offer you a solution. I tell you that I just got 3 hours of work scheduled for you at McDonald's where you'll get paid $9.17 per hour. And just for the inconvenience of taking your $27.50, I give you 10 cents. That might seem like an outlandish example, but I kept the proportions the same and the fundamentals for each situation match. For those of us who play DBD, we know that Behavior literally just gave this man a life sentence of doing bloodwebs, and by the time he spends all of his blood points to get the prestiges that he originally had, the game probably won't even have servers anymore. In all seriousness, to spend 27.5 million blood points, it's probably going to take at least 45 minutes. The fact that this issue has existed for years now, and the dev team hasn't thought of a faster way to do bloodwebs is honestly astonishing, and it shows the negligence or pure stupidity of Behavior. While we are on the subject of in-game currency, now is probably a good time to talk about the DLC in this game. Dead by Daylight seems to be clinging on through the various partnerships it's been able to secure, and the player count only seems to rise momentarily when a new killer comes out. However, for a game that charges $20, DBD comes off as using free-to-play tactics, like having in-game currency for skins, and putting many of the more interesting characters behind paywalls. It doesn't matter how much you grind this game, there's no way to attain some of the characters other than paying real-life money for them. Normally this would be okay, but considering that DBD is already a $20 game, and that the DLC can rack up in terms of cost pretty quickly, there definitely should be a way to unlock specific characters using some other method that doesn't require real cash. I understand though that many of the licensing deals are made on the basis of people paying for the DLC, but it would be nice if we could at least get some perks through blood points or some alternative way, because the Shrine of Secrets is incredibly unreliable. I think DBD should make a lot of its DLC content more accessible, even if it means more grinding for the player base. It's better to have some access than no access at all. But now let's get to the more pressing issues that exist in the gameplay. DBD is a fun game to play. If it wasn't, then many of us wouldn't even bother with the game in the first place. But the game is riddled with bugs and outdated systems that need tweaking. The first issue that I will talk about is the desync issues that still plague the servers. The more basic understanding of this would be the word hitboxes, but that's technically not correct as to what's going on. Basically, the servers are not in sync, meaning that the killer will often receive information faster than the survivor, and this can result in some wonky hits, especially around windows and pallets. This desync issue basically means that the killer's position is not true for the survivors since they are not up to date on the server information like the killers are. Another huge issue is wiggling. I love the new wiggle system, which I know can be a divisive opinion, but it feels a lot more interactive and less brain dead than the old one. However, the new one still has its issues, like how every now and then you get these weird skill checks where they seem to freeze or lag, and this can ruin your tempo if you're playing Survivor. This issue has been there for a while now, and while it doesn't show up all the time, it's surprising that Behavior still hasn't been able to fully patch this. Now let's get to issues that are not technical problems, but rather bad game design. Nothing sucks as much as doing generators in DBD, considering that this is the activity that most of the survivors will do for the majority of the game. It really should be more interactive. But instead, we just sit there, probably on our phones, mindlessly pressing space from time to time. Now, doing objectives doesn't need to be as elaborate as Secret Neighbor, but there should definitely be some more involvement than just pressing the spacebar. Another extremely prevalent issue is trolling or levers. DBD has a reporting system, but it literally does nothing. There's also no way to find out if a player you reported got punished, because you are never made aware of this information, unlike some other games that tell you when your report went through. Considering how team-oriented Dead by Daylight is, and how one bad teammate can ruin the entire game, it's honestly crazy that behavior doesn't take reports more seriously. But besides all of these flaws, DBD still has some redeeming factors. Obviously the game is extremely fun, and it manages to maintain this despite all of the bugs and non-interactive gameplay, which just speaks to how good the concept of the game is. The killers for the most part are balanced, and I know there have been some really bad ones in the past, like Pyramid Head and Spirit, but those got adjusted to not be as horrible to face against. Some killers are still on the weaker side, like Clown and Demo, but no one on the roster is completely unplayable. Credit where it's due, compared to some other games, DBD is decently balanced. Obviously some meta runes are strong right now, but nothing is completely broken, and there seems to be a good amount of outplay potential available for both sides in this game. Despite the flaws, Dead by Daylight is a great game, and we come back to play it because that's how fun it can be. Or maybe I'm just addicted. However, this loyalty and good side of the game just makes it an even greater tragedy that a game of this caliber, with a dedicated following, suffers from negligent devs. Dead by Daylight is an amazing game, but it could be so much more with some basic housekeeping. But there you have it, the horror game that has the most love-hate relationship from its fans, Dead by Daylight, or, more accurately, Dead by Devs. That's all I have for this video, guys. This video was a bit of a rant, but please let me know if you agree or disagree with my points in the comments below. This video took a long time to make, and I try to make original content, so please consider checking out some of my other stuff, and I appreciate all of your support. But if you made it this far, thank you, I love you, and I genuinely hope that you have a great rest of your day.